Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and Klein Tools has another Hawkblade knife. This is the Flickblade folding Hawkbill knife. The part number on this is 44321. And it is in their Flickblade series, this is another one right here. Essentially a push button lock for both locking and unlocking, and then the ability to flick it out. Now, right away, this one is on the stiffer side. I can deploy it. I can get it out and in with one flick. So I'm going to play with that for a little bit, but also for another reason, and that is I've got a T8 Torx here and a T8 Torx underneath this, and I believe both of them have to be held, but you've got a pocket clip, so you'd need a T6 Torx to move the pocket clip to access that other pivot side, and these are in really tight. I was playing around with them, and I think I'd almost do that as a tool review to see if I could open them. But anyway, what I do like about it right away is the aggressive, very aggressive. I mean, I'm going to call this a Hawkbill Wharncliffe. This is a unique blade. Aggressive Hawkbill. It reminds me a lot of the SK blade, but even more aggressive. And it has to do with that very sharp angle here. It also, like the SK, you'll notice that's a sharpening choil. And the SK also has one here, but very few other knives do. They just end. Or other knives like this, they just end here, which makes it a little bit tougher to sharpen that very small spot. Another variation on the Klein Hawkbills. This is a really robust one. This is another thing I noticed. But you can get the extra blades, so you can be kind of aggressive with it and just swap out the blades. But if you compare it to this previous version, or this bar lock version, this is a lightweight, very fast, very nice, basically cable skinner. But if you look at that Hawkblade, this one is not only more aggressive, but it's also much beefier. And you might even argue shorter on a longer handle. So there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, it is a full-size knife handle. That's a big handle. If you compare that to others, like here's the Milwaukee Hawkblade with its combination lock, which I keep forgetting, you can see, it's right up there. And Milwaukee's known for having large handles on their knives. And when you pop these open and compare the blades, line up the pivots, Milwaukee might just be a hair taller. At least it's got a little more beef right up there, but it has a much harsher curve and a little bit different point. Now that point really allows some sophisticated, slicing, but this arch right here also is important. So let's say I was cutting some tubing. The reason you want that arch, or what's known as a reverse curve, is because it tends to maintain the workpiece within the cutting envelope. Whereas if you have a flat blade, like on this kind of aggressive Wharncliffe, it's possible to walk it out. But the Wharncliffe idea, which is kind of interesting combined with a Hawkbill, is that as the knife is in rotation around the cutting surface, that flat blade stays in contact as much as possible. That's more in a gross cut like this, not in the sawing that I'll be doing with that one. And that's kind of an element of a fighting knife. Whereas the more traditional blade shapes tend to, let me grab one here. Here's a more traditional blade. See, it was my Father's Day gift, ZT Hinderer. This is, I think, the 056 in MagnaCut, the new one. But when you have a rounded blade, as you rotate it, just rotate the wrist, it actually can pull the blade off the workpiece. So there is that. So anyway, if I was cutting this, just see how I can roll it within, this reinforced line, and then slice it nicely. Very well done. Let's go to a piece of Romex style wire here. That's where that nice big gouging comes in to just plow right through right through the insulation. Let's try a little bigger one here. Now this might allow me to do some whittling of the cable, as well as digging down in, and then I've got a nice big old thumb purchase right there to slide that along. Doing a lousy job of it, probably cutting the wire too. Get that lined up and slice through there. So you got quite a bit of precision with a tip like that. That is really kind of a wicked. So there we are. What about something large? So let's grab this 220 line here. You can probably see that if you're interested in whatever this stuff is. 50 amp stuff. Okay, so in this case, go to a fresh site, get it in and just work on it. I'm trying not to knock my camera across the room, but you can see I'm able to work this through safely. And then I could peel it back. I want to try and cut it. That's also where that nice big arc comes in, where I could score that and slice it all the way around. You can see it. But anyway, so there it is. I think it's about a $20 tool. Big, hefty, non-reversible pocket clip. Nice Klein orange, although it's a slight orange difference. You can see that there. Again, I'm glad they're evolving the knife line. Doesn't mean you abandon a previous shape, or even some of the, the old school ones, but you get a choice. Very nice, and I could see this being applicable in many other areas than just an electrician's tool bag. But if you got questions, ask them. If you got comments, share them. And with that, Doc out.